This could be one of the most defining weeks of the US election campaign. After nearly 5 weeks of testimony, 22 witnesses called, just 2 for the defence. The closing arguments have begun in Donald Trump's hush money trial. There could be a verdict, in fact, by the end of this week. The former US president faces 34 charges of allegedly falsifying business records to cover up payments made to the adult film star Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 election. He's denied all the allegations. Today, it was the defence first up, and their target was the star witness Michael Cohen, who lied to Congress, to the banks, to the courts, to his wife. He is the MVP of liars, they said, who cannot be trusted to give you a truthful account of what role Donald Trump played in the catch-and-kill scheme. After lunch, it was the prosecution's turn to pull together the thread of the case that they have made. They're about half a way through that. We're told it will be a 4-hour closing argument. Our correspondent Neda Tawfik, who's in New York, has been following it for us. So what have we heard from the prosecution in the last few hours, Neda?
Yeah, well, look, prosecutors really took aim at this credibility issue of Michael Cohen, saying that the reasons that Donald Trump chose Michael Cohen as his fixer were the same reasons that the defense want jurors to discount his testimony, that he's a liar and cheater. They said that Donald Trump and Michael Cohen were drawn to each other like moths to flames because they were very much the same. And prosecutors are saying that essentially Michael Cohen should be used as a tour guide through the physical evidence they say is indisputable and testimony that shows that Donald Trump loomed over every piece of decision making. They really framed the alleged catch and kill scheme as something that may have been responsible for electing Donald Trump. They say that as soon as money changed hands with those hush money payments, that's what made the catch and kill scheme illegal, violating federal campaign finance laws. And that's critical, Christian, because jurors are going to be instructed on the case law. And so here we have prosecutors outlining where they see Donald Trump explicitly violating the law. And prosecutors are kind of continuing. They're arguing now that Donald Trump's campaign was in panic mode after the release of the Access Hollywood tape, a tape which Donald Trump claimed was just locker room talk. They say that the Stormy Daniels story would have proved it wasn't just locker room talk, that there were actions behind his words. They say Stormy Daniels' story served as the motive for the alleged election fraud.
OK, we've got time to get a reaction from our panel. Also with us is Rachel Pelosi. She's the former US attorney for the District of Minnesota. Good to have you with us as well. Rachel, the bottom line here is Donald Trump was a candidate whose campaign was in a tailspin, potential fatal story pending with Stormy Daniels. He could not afford another scandal. He had a relationship with Mr Pecker. They had an agreement to catch and kill stories. He tasked Cohen with running that. Has the prosecution made a strong enough case, and did they tie it together today to make that case?
Well, I think that remains to be seen. We're still in the middle of the prosecution's approximately 4-hour closing argument, if not longer. But I think the prosecution has certainly shown that Donald Trump committed a misdemeanor in cooking the books. The question is, can they also show that this was a felony, that Donald Trump falsified business records for the intent of covering up the story of his encounters with porn stars for the purpose of influencing the election. I think that also raises additional questions of whether Alvin Bragg and prosecutors in New York have the ability jurisdictionally to enforce federal law.
The defence say Michael Cohen's a flawed witness. He lied to everybody. Is he the best chance of getting Donald Trump off?
He's not the best chance of getting Donald Trump off, but he's a very good chance of getting Donald Trump off because he was admittedly a very flawed witness for the prosecution. He is a convicted liar. He is a felon. He is a disbarred attorney. And for the prosecution to have to rely so heavily on him to essentially explain Donald Trump's intent is definitely a drawback for the prosecution. Yeah. Of course, Mr. Trump did not take the stand himself, so the question of his intent is best known to him and was not explained to the jury by him.
Of course, the jury, the defence, I should say, only needs one. Ian, the trial has pushed people further into their camps. But not everyone is in those camps. There are a set of voters who are undecided, who don't like either of these candidates. And will a conviction matter to them?
I think it will. I must say, I'm not sure how you could push Americans further into their camps than they already are. But I suppose, there's always a bar that can be surpassed. But when you look at independents, a significant number of people that say that they are not committed to either party say they would be influenced by a conviction. It's certainly plausible. I'll tell you, in addition to the fact that you've got challenging witnesses, you also have a very diverse jury, as you should. And at least one of those jury members gets their media and news information primarily from Truth Social and X. So, all you need, as you say, is one juror that says they're not sure, they're not going to support a conviction. We're talking about the former president of the United States and a case that on its face is considerably less serious than other cases that haven't actually come to trial fully yet. And yet this is one that will matter massively for the upcoming election. Can you find one juror that's prepared to say, I don't want to convict on the basis of that? I think there's a pretty good chance that you can. In that regard, I was quite surprised that Biden decided he wanted to start politicking on the back of this, the Biden campaign today, when they're not sure if this is going to go their way at all.
But doesn't it, Hillary, I've only got a minute, but doesn't it really show maybe the verdict is unimportant because it shows the character of the former president, the people around him, what kind of people he employs, how he bent them to his will?
Yes, but I don't think there's much you can tell anybody in America about Donald Trump that they don't think they already know. And so the question is whether this will have any impact, whether this changes his mobility, whether if he gets convicted of a felony, whether what kind of a sentence or punishment the judge has. I don't know the answer to that. Obviously, I have my doubts that even if he were convicted, that he would be thrown in jail. Okay. Having said that, I don't think that at this stage, this trial really matters that much for this election.
Rachel Pelosi, thank you for being with us. We'll be right back after this break.